Hey everyone and welcome to the video. So today we're going to finally be talking about the Saints Row reboot. I noticed I've only made around 5 reboot videos this month, which is kind of low if you know my channel at all, and that's basically because there's been not a great deal of content, which means we are going to again have to talk about the DLC, but I've got kind of a cooler angle on it this time. I'm basically hoping to talk about what I think the DLC could do for the game and franchise as a whole, and if the DLC could actually be good enough to save it. Because we've seen a lot of games like Cyberpunk and No Man's Sky do this, and I think it's cool to kind of weigh in on the input of if the DLC is that good, and we have patches that are that good that the game can recover, what could this mean for the future of Saints Row as a whole? This is an unlikely future, but it's one that's kind of fun to dip your toes into and just kind of speculate and imagine. I want to again just preface this by saying I don't think this is going to happen, but I still think it's fun to speculate and imagine, like I say, and basically just have a bit of fun combined with wishful thinking as to what could happen if the DLCs with that good people would actually hop back on the game. So, without wasting any time, let's just hop straight into it. So, if you followed monogaming at all, really, you know that games nowadays are being released slightly unfinished, to say the least, and a lot of the DLC release cycle is also spent patching up the game. I think we've seen this partially with the reboot as well. We've had the November update kind of floating around the same time again in cosmetic packs, and whilst I don't think it's been as full on as, say, Cyberpunk, where as DLC is coming out, they're also just painfully trying to fix everything they can in the game, it's still been somewhat present. So, what happened with those games, though, is that by the time that all the DLC finally came out, there'd been a decent amount of patches, and what was pretty much a mediocre slash bad base game actually became a half decent good game. Again, you see the same thing with No Man's Sky, where it's basically just a template that got built upon and eventually evolved into something people actually enjoyed. So, could this happen for the reboot? The answer, in my mind, is yes and no, for two reasons. I'm going to partially go yes because of the obvious thing. They could add a ton of gameplay elements, they could fix up some story elements within some DLC, maybe add some cool missions and make the story a little bit more tolerable. They could add some really fun gameplay elements into the missions, like campaign missions that are actually more fun and unique. They could add new characters, new cars, new weapons, they could add a ton of stuff to make this game a better game than it is, and I think that the game would be a lot more salvageable if they did this. I think that the game would be in a much better place, and I think that partially, and I say very carefully, partially, the game could recover from where it's at. However, I don't think the game is high profile enough to do a Cyberpunk recovery. Quite frankly, most people played the reboot, went, wow, this sucks, and moved on. It wasn't like Cyberpunk that had so much hype around it that people stuck around because they wanted it to be good. And this is the important thing. I don't think anything is going to change Saints Row's reputation. When people talk about Cyberpunk now, there's almost a positive mist around it. It's like, yeah, the game was buggy, but people kind of like it now. It's a lot better. And you hear that a lot. I don't know if you're going to get that with Saints Row because I don't think any major updates and improvements would get mainstream attention. The game got shit on from launch, and I think that that's basically where Saints Row is going to be. On top of that, the story, it's painfully raw. I hate to be the guy. I enjoyed the story, it was pretty fun, but quite frankly, the writing is really poor. And unless these DLCs can somehow fix all of that, which quite frankly, I don't think they can, it's going to be struggling hardcore. However, being more optimistic and positive here for a second, I think the game can sort of recover from the major things it falls face first into. Again, stuff like the aiming can be improved with a patch, which I think is a major thing. Killing people can be more satisfying, and hopefully diversions and stuff can be added. And basically, what I'm getting at is they can add back the core formula that people have been missing, so that true Saints Row fans that have stuck around with the reboot and are going to give it a chance once there's a ton of stuff out for it, which I really hope people do kind of do, because I'm hoping that this DLC is good, obviously. I don't know anything about it, but I'm just praying it's good, you know what I mean? But I think that that could be a good way to get people back on side, and people may never love this game, and this game will always, at best, be known for having a very rocky life cycle, which, quite frankly, that would be optimistic. It's always going to be known for having a pretty shit reputation, realistically. That's just being honest. I hate to say it, but it's just the truth. But I think that at the very least, it could go from completely shit game to kind of just a rocky foundation that got improved upon with some time and updates. And let's not lie here, they have spent a long time updating this game. Like, we haven't had a patch since November, which is ridiculous. We haven't had any, mission packs yet, and it's now, March. We haven't even had the roadmap, which I imagine is going to release at least a couple weeks before the first DLC does. The DLC is taking its time. So all I'm praying for is that perhaps something like this could happen, where we get some big patches and big DLCs that could improve the game and make it a whole lot more bearable. But I don't know if Saints Row could recover with DLCs. Um, I would probably edge more on the side of caution of just going, it probably won't, being truthful. But I do think that what it can do is help out the fan base it already sort of has and make the game a better place for more people to maybe give it a shot. I don't think the game is ever going to be widely respected because I think that ship has sort of sailed. But I do, however, think that the game could earn a bit more respect by the fans that have stuck by it and by the Saints Row community if it does improve itself over time and become a better game for all Saints Row fans. That's just my thoughts though, and I know that's quite optimistic thinking, but hey, I can dream, right? Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy. I'm going to try and get some more reboot content out, because I know a ton of you guys have been like asking for it a ton, but there's just not too much to talk about, sorry. But I'll try and keep it up for you guys, so yeah. Take care everyone, and I'll see you soon.